I spoke about Sam 5 years ago, but for the first 2-3 years it was very difficult. More.
The first years without her?
More of a shock and a disbelief that she wasn't there anymore, because it happened so suddenly, because 1 minute you were speaking to her on the phone and the next minute was total silence. So it's like someone's given you something and taken it away so quickly. You're kind of looking around for them for a long time before it sinks in that you're never going to see them again, I guess.
What do you think about the Natalie's project with the Sam's page?
Natalie's project with the Sam Says, I think it's a really great thing that she's doing, that she's continued and that she is persevering with, because after the tsunami it's very difficult for people to stay interested, because there's another disaster, there's another crises, Japan, Australia, whatever. There's always something else for people to feel bad for a week and donate on the television or anything. But I think when it happened and the charity was set up, myself and Jess arranged a photographic exhibition, and we contacted all of Sam's photographers, people we knew in the industry, some really famous photographers, Mario Testino, Sam Taylor Wood, Nick Knight, lots of really top photographers, and we were able to put something together and make an exhibition, and we auctioned these photographs, and they made a lot of money. That was something that we did, and then we did another one in New York, the same, with another friend. But Natalie was still so in shock, mourning, I don't know, that she felt it was like she was paralysed to do anything. So it's taken a few years, but this is Natalie's way of putting back and giving something and keeping the memory of her sister alive and turning her into a character, like a cartoon character with her dog, The Adventures with Lulu Leshan. So I think it's, sometimes you think she's a bit mad, but in the best possible way, and in the way that Sam was, the passion and the determination. So it's keeping her spirit alive, telling a story, also helping, the causes that she believes in. And it's really positive thing to be doing. Talking about her, celebrating her life through another form, because she's not here to do it herself now. So she's almost bringing her alive through a story.
¿Cómo era duelo, Natalie? Grief? Grief. What do you think about the Natalie's grief?
Everybody grieves in very different ways and shows different types of grief. Some people don't mention a person ever again. Some people are hysterical. Some people bury things and can only deal with things later on. And I think Natalie, I would say that Natalie was very strong for her family, her parents, her children, even Sam's husband at the time. She was very strong for me, so she became the carer of the family. And so when you become another thing to somebody else, you put your own grief and your own deep upset and trauma aside, because you're filling that space with other people's problems or grief. So Natalie, I think, only started to let her own grief out a few years ago when this project was born, and it was her way of grieving through losing Sam. but in a positive way, in a way that only she understood, you know. But it's a form of grieving and letting go at the same time, yet celebrating and not letting her go, not letting her sister's memory die, you know. So
Natalie and Sam are similar person?
Yes, in some ways, in the passion for food and culture and not clothes, not fashion. But yes, in a lot of ways, but no, in a lot of ways as well, because you know, they have similar mannerisms with their sort of way they move their hands or something. I think sometimes that's like Sam would do, but yes and no. The personalities were quite different, both equally special in their own unique ways. I wouldn't say that Natalie's a carbon copy of Sam or Sam a carbon copy of Natalie, but I know that Sam looked up to her sister, even though she wouldn't say it to her face. She celebrated the fact that Natalie is wild and in the sense that she's not afraid to air her opinions and her voice. That's where Sam was very similar. They're, you know, very confident, outspoken women that were not. They were women of their own. How would I say it?
Okay, when you see Natalie talk and see your face or another, ¿cómo se dice gestos? Mannerisms of Natalie are similar that Sam, because Charlotte, when talks and when she moves,
it's a very strong.
It's very similar.
There's a very strong Archer. Well, there's a very strong gene, yes, that run through the family for sure, definitely. And Charlotte, I would say, is more like her auntie. There's quite very similar traits, very similar. But all of them, you know, very free spirits. You know, inquisitive, excitable, interested in lots of things. But, yeah.
Tell me about the relationship with Sam, your sister Sam.
My sister Sam. Well, I know that my own sister used to get jealous of my relationship with Sam and would always scream at me, you know, you wish I was dead, and so you could have Sam as your sister, you would get rid of me for the, you know. That did upset her quite a lot, that I was there for Sam more than, I suppose, my sister in a sense. Our relationship, when I met Sam, she was trying to break into styling, and I did a shoot as a young model starting out, and she was styling the shoot, and I was so in awe of her, like the way she wore clothes, her red lipstick, the way she was so confident, and I wasn't, and she was this woman, and I was quite, you know, slightly scared of her as well, because she was just so confident. She could speak all these languages, you know, the way she looked. But I think after the shoot we went back to her mum and dad's house where she had the apartment on the top floor, and said to me, oh, do you want to come back to mine for a drink? And I went back and I left a week later. So that kind of says it all, that I think that we were inseparable from that day onwards. We were pretty much inseparable. And then when I moved to Paris a few months later, she came to visit me for a weekend, and she moved in with me and never left. That was it. She had moved to Paris. We shared this tiny room where we had this one tiny bed between us, like fighting for the duvet every night, and we had a great time. We were young and quite wild. She showed me a wild side. She showed me how to let my hair down and enjoy myself. She led the way. But yeah, very special relationship with her. Very, very special. A very unique friendship. I was honoured to be her, best friend. Totally honoured.
You miss her?
Oh God, yeah, I miss Sam every day. I have a photograph of her in Monte Carlo wearing a beautiful white dress with the dog next to her and a glass of champagne in this photograph that I took of her, and it's on my bedside table. And the first thing I see when I wake up is this beautiful smile looking at me with this slight twinkle of naughtiness in her eye. And it's the first thing I see in the morning, and it just makes me smile. I miss her terribly. I really miss her.
You asked me how the whole thing came about, how the whole idea came about. Well, it all came little by little, as I said to you before the other day. First of all, we started with the video, and then I had, I can't remember if, did I have the drawing by Danny done before Benjamin? Do you remember the drawing with Danny? Anyway, I had a young guy do a drawing. Do you remember the first one with the dog? Which is quite a nice drawing, that one, actually. Anyway, so there are mixed reactions. I know people that find it offensive and think it's disturbing to see pictures of my sister everywhere. But it was supposed to be born as an idea that people didn't really have to relate to who it is. It's just an energy, a spirit, a way of behaving. Do we know who Charlie Brown is based on? Do you know who Tarzan is based on? Do you know who? I mean, these writers or these artists that have created these personas, they've always based them on somebody. So in a way, this is exactly the same thing, except that I'm, remembering somebody that I loved, and it's in their memory, to try and do something charitable in their memory, like a lot of people do, in the memory of a lost one in a tragic accident or something. A lot of charities are set up in people's memories, and we did a very similar thing. But I wanted to take it somewhere different. You don't necessarily, it would be wonderful to think that in 30 years' time, people are still buying Sam Says objects and, saying, oh, my grandma used to buy this. I like that, like we buy Betty Boop. But Betty Boop was also probably based on somebody. So, and then we can go back to even more, nothing to do with talking about cartoon characters, but how many different thousands and millions of representations have we had of the Virgin Mary based on a book written thousands of years ago, and she's been interpreted in millions of different ways, including black, the Black Virgin Mary. So it was a persona, something spiritual that she was somebody very special, and this is what I would like to pass on about Sam, is that she had a special aura, a special, and it's not really her. Every artist who didn't even know her, all the people that have drawn her up until now, none of them knew her, so they've only seen her through the videos. And well, you know, they've all said to me that she's captured them some way or another. So I think it's working. And I think anybody else that starts watching or a little bit about Sam, they'll be captured and find her kind of a captivating kind of person. Associations that we collaborate with are so far ARED, which is the place that helps women that have come out of prison learn a trade. Then we have the Fundación Prisba, which is also with a second-hand shop and so on and so forth, that helps the aged in Barcelona. We have raised money with the Christmas carols just recently for Arrels, which is a foundation that helps look after the homeless in Barcelona. And we would also like, eventually, when the business, Sam says, starts going up, you know, making a profit, to help the Smart Association in the UK, which also SMART means socially marginalised art, and they help the homeless and the mentally ill through therapeutic art and art workshops.